Hi everyone, it's Ashley Kuhnley, your IEEE Eta Kappa Nu Lambda Beta Chapter President. For this video, I'm going to show a few of the options for changing and updating the graphs that you have for your PSPICE simulations, as well as the transient response and the frequency response that you're going to need to work through for both your 240 and your 340 labs this summer. So what I have here is an op amp. Those of you in 340 know what this is. Those of you in 240 will know very shortly what this is. This is a very important component to electronics. I have my inputs here. So we have our V off. This is for the VSIN input. V off is your DC offset. This should typically be 0. If you need to change it for a lab, by all means, you can play around with it in your PSPICE simulations as well to see what happens yourself. The V amplitude is going to be just the amplitude of the wave. This should also be given to you in your lab manual, or it should be part of your hand calcs that you need to figure out on your own. Frequency, another one of those components that's given to you or you'll need to figure out. And then AC, this one seems to be where a lot of people get stuck. So I'm going to actually leave this empty for now. Oh, I can't. So I'm going to put 0. And I'm going to do just a plain transient response. So for these values, these were the values of the op amp that I had for the physical breadboard circuit. And this is the inverting op amp that I made. So let's go ahead and set up our simulation profile. So you'll need to do a new simulation profile when you start your new project. So you can go ahead and hit new. I already have one, so I'm just going to go ahead and click edit. These are the default settings. So it should start you out in time domain transient. It's going to do 1000 nanoseconds, and it's not going to have any values in here for you to default to, but you are more than welcome to change these. So I'm going to leave this as is. When you're done, hit apply, hit OK, and you can go ahead and you can run this, but you're not going to get any data points. And the reason for that is because you don't have any of your probes down. So this is here, and it's recognizing that something has been done, but you're going to need to click on this V probe here, and I want to measure the output of the op amp, and I want to compare it to my input here. So let's go ahead, and since the profile was actually already run, I don't need to rerun this to find my data. It will pick up the probes. So this doesn't look like it's enough time for me to see anything valuable here. So if you see something like this, I would suggest going back into your simulation profile. So back up at PSPICE, edit simulation profile, and go ahead and make this a little bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and do 10 milliseconds. Apply, hit OK. And when you change the simulation profile, you do need to rerun the simulation. So go ahead and hit the play button again. And this is what I have. So from the information that I found out previously through my own hand calcs, I was looking at a gain of about 11. This looks pretty good to me. It's also inverting. My input side is red. This matches the probe that I have here. And my output of the operational amplifier is green, which I have here. We have these sharp peaks here because the time steps are not as small as they would need to be to smooth this out. So what you can do to actually make this look a little nicer, if you are someone who's picky like myself, you can go back to edit simulation profile, and you can use this maximum step size option. Be very careful with how small you make your step sizes. If you do something really small, your computer can run the simulation, but it's going to take a long time. So I'm going to go for, let's do 100 nanoseconds. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this. I'm going to hit OK. And let's run this again. So I didn't change anything with my probes. So down here in the bottom right-hand corner is the progress of the simulation. So if you make the time steps too small, you'll see it'll go very, very slowly down here. So 100 nanoseconds worked great. So I can see these really nice curves throughout my output for the operational amplifier. So I'm happy with the way that this looks. But let's say that I don't really like this black background. And there are a handful of professors at CSUN that do not like the black background, even while we're virtual, but especially while we're in person and you end up printing these reports out. Do not have a black background. So the way you can update this is you can, actually, let me go ahead and drop my cursors here so I can have that. Where is my, is this my cursor? No. All right, so we got both of our cursors. So right click and left click are two different cursors. These are also green and red, which I am not a fan of, but we can change that. So let's go to Tools and Options. So under Options, if you go over to Cursor Settings, you can go ahead and change these values. I'm not sure why this one's green, but you can change their colors here, and there are many, many colors. So I'm going to go ahead and do this color, whatever this is, and then I'm going to do this. Let's do this orange. You can also change the color setting. So here you can change the background color to whatever you honestly would really like, but your professors are going to ask for white. So go ahead and do that. You can leave your theme dark. If you want it to be light, you can do it light. That's fine. Your tracer colors, this is where it goes to default. So your first cursor will be green always. Your second cursor will be this color always. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You can actually move these around if you would like, if you're not a fan of the custom colors, such as myself. And so you can go ahead and do that. You can also change the font settings if you really want, but I think that the font settings are okay. You can also add or remove colors. There's many colors in here, so there's a lot that you can work with. Go ahead and select OK. So it finally gave me this blue, and I believe I selected purple originally, but it looks like this is not purple. So I can move this around. I can still move this one around. And my background is white. If you really want to change the grid, you can also do that. But this is a really great way to have stuff show up well. If you want to not have your cursors be what you're clicking on, you can click on your arrow up here again. You can actually click on each of these simulated waveforms here. And if you right click, you can click on Trace Property. You can change the color, the pattern, the width, and even the symbol that's being used on the waveform and down here. So you can click, I want this one to be my purple one. And let's say I want this one to be this phantom line. And I want it to be, let's do the second line thickness. And I want it to be a, whatever this symbol is. So go ahead and you can do show symbol, hit OK. So this one updated. And you can also change the other one. So let's go ahead and change this to, let's do this blue. We're going to go ahead and let's leave it a solid line, but we'll make this one a little thicker. And I don't know, let's do a triangle, but I don't want to show the symbol. So I'm just going to leave that off. So go ahead and hit OK. And this will be my new graph. You can go ahead and screenshot this. You can go ahead and use your cursors again. Put those wherever you need to. So here it finally turned up purple in the blue that I selected. I think you have to deselect it and reselect it. But then if I go back to my PSPICE here, these will update to match the colors of the waveform that I've selected. So it's important to notice that this is here. So if you take a screenshot of your circuit and you save that, and then you go into your graph and you modify your colors, they're not going to match. So I would suggest after you've made whatever changes you need to your simulation profile here, that you go back and take a picture of your circuit afterwards when your probes are matching the right colors that you need for your output. If you want your graph to go back to your black color, it's as simple as just going back to your tools and customizing. Oh, sorry, tools and options, cursor settings, and color settings. My apologies. And going back to black. You can also, like I said, you can change it to one of these colors if you really wanted to. I don't know why anybody would want to do anything like this, but by all means, experiment, play around with your graphs, figure out what works best for you and your professor for your lab. So happy simulating. Thanks.